Well, we blew a tire. It's not in a very helpful spot. So we're waiting for the officers to come and kind of help keep us safe, and we're gonna change it. Yeah. Don't know what you're saying, kid. So I think they're gonna get these kids back in the car, buckled up. We gotta get those jacks set down. And we'll go from there. All right, so it's the next day, and this is well, I think it's pretty obvious. This is the blown tire. It doesn't look like we damaged the rim, which is good. But we got the spare, which is the same tire as the other three. That we're gonna take in. We're gonna have them put this tire on that rim, likely, and then put a new tire on this one. So we'll have all four tires pretty much the exact same, which will be nice to have. Not sure if it matters too much. And then we'll have the spare, which will be a brand new one. So I think what happened, not quite sure. A couple of things probably came together on it. We drove through Louisiana, biggest factor probably. There was a lot of roads that were big whipping ones. So you go over the top of the some type of like a little bump in the road, and it just really bounces the crap out of everything. There we go. We have it up on a little 4-ton jack. Highly recommend having one of these because our other jacks for the truck and stuff were not adequate, and so we went and picked this up last night. So between the jack, which we should have had in the first place, and the tire itself, the tire was gonna be around $200. Jack, having the jack there, I don't know, it's like, what is this, $250? You can get them for like 150 or so at Harbor Freight. But so 300-ish, 350 or so to have a new tire on there. We also had, sorry, I didn't really tell you much of the story. So last night, I just sat there on the side of the road. We didn't have enough room to really pull off anywhere safe, right? And so we ended up calling, getting an officer to come guard the road and turn his lights on. He blocked off one lane for us, which was really helpful, because we were literally a foot or two from where the tires were flying by. And so we're like, okay. So very kind man, great officer, really appreciate his help. Blocked off the lane. This crazy. The tire had blown apart, and then the tread of it had wrapped itself between the disc brake and these struts, and so it was wrapped around like 2 or 3 times. And so thankfully it wasn't raining and stuff, but holy Toledo, we ended up having to get that yanked off pretty good. But anyway, so long story short, we came to the conclusion that we needed a better, so there's a new jack. And we got it over here, and then after we had the new jack, it went by really quick. Got the spare on, which was the same as the other ones, which was great. And then we were able to make it to our Harvest Toast location, and they're willing to let us work on it here, which is really, really kind of them. Sorry, going back to the factors that I think led to this. So we went from a higher altitude in Utah down to practically sea level. So when I checked the tire pressures, we were down at 70. Now, I'm not sure how far they dropped from and where they had the pressure before, but the tires were rated at 95 pounds. Let's do 95 pounds cold. And so I got it up. I didn't go all the way up to 95, but I went up to about 90 on them. And then I don't know for sure, but this may also properly leveled. And so if you don't have it leveled right, the back will sag down a little bit and the front will be up high, so there's more weight on the back tire. So I also, before we headed out, we ended up adding air to our airbags in here. and that does raise it up 2 or 3 inches when it has the load on it. So that may have also played a factor. This may have been too overinflated, which then lifted the nose up, which then put added pressure on the back tires, which induced more bucking as we were going down the road, and it blew right during one of the bucks, we believe. So I looked back after a buck just to look at the tires, and there was stuff flailing around. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So that's when it all happened. Slight damage to the RV, which I think will be mendable. But yeah, this guy got bent up a little bit. Anyway, so lessons learned. Make sure that you're leveled. Make sure you have the right air pressure in the tires, and maybe even keep it a little lower. Who knows? And then have a, did I say jack? Keep it level, right pressure, have a jack. And oh, another lesson. So they always say the 3 o'clock rule. So it's like, don't try to arrive later than 3. And I didn't understand why until today or yesterday, when it's like, hey, look, you know what? If we'd planned to arrive at like 6, it would have been super late night. I've been doing this in the dark. The stores would have been potentially closed. And so by planning to arrive at 3 gives you a buffer. So if something like this happens, you're not, up the creek. So anyway, so for what it's worth, that's the update so far. But yeah, just glad it worked out the way it did and not any worse. So we're very thankful. We ended up we were thinking about how it could have gone, and we were, I think, very fortunate. So anyway, oh, another thing is right before this all happened, a good friend of ours named Jack, we met him at our last little camp spot. He gave us some advice, and he was paranoid about tires. He was, wanted us adamantly aware of, what to do when a tire blows. And I'm like, man, this guy is prophetic. And in hindsight, I'm like, dude, I don't know, maybe he was being, prompted or inspired to give us some advice. But one of the things he mentioned to me actually helped us, I think, in that he told us, he's like, you will not feel the blown tire. Won't even know it happened. It's not like a car tire where it's right there, you feel it like rumbling underneath you. He's like, you won't even know. And so you just keep an eye, check your tires, watch them, because you'll be dragging your rim and you won't even know. It'll pull the same, everything. And so that kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, okay, so I think that's got me keeping my eyes more on my tires. And thankfully it didn't blow, and I wouldn't have noticed. I'm assuming that someone would have honked and said, hey, look, your tires are on fire. But thankfully we didn't destroy anything, and no one got hurt. And, anyway, lessons learned. So have a jack, right air pressure on tires, arrive before 3, plan to arrive before 3. A few other lessons in there, I'm sure. But anyway, there you go. Okay, that's the new tire right there. Something I learned. So these tires are 12 ply, and they use both steel and nylon. Nylon on the sides and steel on the top and bottom treads. This is a 14 ply, so it holds more weight and is steel all around. So it costs an extra 30-40 bucks or something. But now it is, this tire is going to be stronger now. They're the same size, so they told me it's going to ride the same. It'll do just fine in that regard. This will be their first it'll be the first drive with them, so I'll have to watch it and see how it goes. But that's the end of that story. I really don't want that to happen again.